I'll just make him co-host. No, are you good? Okay, cool. All right. So just let me know when you start recording. All right. Yeah, so welcome to the Framer workshop. And Framer is a really cool, it's a free prototyping tool that I feel like it works best if you're designing or developing prototypes or mock-ups of the mobile apps you're developing. So you can kind of see in this like video they got going on here, they have all these really cool intricate animations that wouldn't be possible on normal design tools like any of the Adobe tools or Sketch or even Figma. Um, I think like a lot of the reason why Framer is really underrated is because they had a lot of growing pains. They initially came out with a desktop app, and then they pivoted to web. And it's like they couldn't decide whether they wanted to be Sketch or Figma. But I feel like now they're slowly growing, and they kind of found their place in the design world. So they're slowly growing. It's really easy to make all these really cool animations with Framer. And something that I find really cool with Framer is what they call magic motion, which kind of lets you animate certain components on a design from one screen to the next. So it makes prototyping that much better. And we're actually going to take a look at how to do this with the Cash App. Um, and of course, you can also go really into Framer because I feel like the main selling point of Framer is that they have all these components that are developed by the users who use Framer. And if you're really into coding and if you're really into like JavaScript, you can create your own components for other people to use. And there's a lot you can do with Framer, and I honestly can't do it justice with one workshop, but I'm going to show you the basics. So so we're going to be recreating certain screens of the Cash App, so you can sign up right now. And while you're doing that, I'm just going to talk about the Cash App for a little bit. Um, so I know as college students, we tend to use Venmo a lot, but personally, I prefer Cash App just because it's probably the best looking finance app out there. Um, it's a pretty simple UI, and it's really we're going to recreate mainly this screen, and we're going to see how we can use Framer components like frames and groups and the animations to kind of share your designs with everyone else. And yeah, I encourage you guys to like check this app out if you're interested. It's really well designed, and I know some of the designers who worked on it, so it's really cool to see the thought process that goes into developing an actual app that most of the Valley uses. So by now, I hope you guys have signed up, and so I'm just going to click open Framer there. And yeah, so to get started, we're just going to click on this new button over here. And we'll just create a project in our drafts. You guys can see my tests over there. Yeah, and so let's just name this the Cash App. And we have a pretty simple UI over here. If you've used tools like Figma or Sketch before, it's going to be pretty familiar. First, we're going to start off by inserting a frame into our canvas over here. You can either click frame, or you can, you could probably like click frame, and you can just draw your frame out over here. Try to make it like a screen. But also, if you don't want to draw it out, what really helps is you can click on the insert button, and we're going to explore more of this insert menu in the workshop, but you can click on phone over here, and it's going to generate an iPhone 12 frame for you. You can choose whichever phone you want right over here in this menu, but I find that the iPhone 12 is probably the best to work with. So what we're going to be creating first is the home screen, or like the first screen you see, which is just a screen where you input the numbers. So this is what we'll be doing. Oh, and I forgot, but if you guys want to go at your own pace, I also have a Google Doc with all of the instructions for you guys to view. So if you want to go at your own pace, you want to, go ahead of everyone, then that's totally fine. Just follow the instructions over there. Yeah, so you can see that we have 4 different menus over here. We have interactions, layout, stack, and styles. So within styles, first we're going to change the fill, which is going to be the color of our frame. And we're going to make it the green color of the Cash App, which is 00B3 4D. So that gives us the typical Cash App green. Next, we're gonna press T, which is short for which is a shortcut for the text component. So we'll click on anywhere on the screen, and then first I'm gonna type $0. That's gonna be the main $0 over here. Uh, let's set the color to white, so or FFF, which is the hex code for white. And then we are going to style the text a bit. So let me scroll down here. And so since this is the free version of Framer, we can't like add custom fonts or custom icons, but they provide a lot of packages that make it really easy to replicate an app. So we have access to all of Google's fonts. So I'm gonna search for Nunito, Nunito. Um, and we're gonna select the bold style, and we're gonna increase this font size all the way to 100. Oh, is everyone with me so far? I just want to make sure that I'm not like going too fast or anything. Put like a thumbs up or something if it's good so far. All right, wait, someone put something in the chat. All right, cool. Yeah, thanks, Nisha. Um, cool. So we have our $0 here. We increased the size to 100. We got the style to bold and the font set to Nunito. And now we're going to scroll a little bit up to the layout menu over here. And we're going to set the top position to 155. And let's also just center it so it's horizontally centered. And let's put it at 155. Cool, yeah. So that's so what we just did was we added a text component, and it was pretty simple to customize it. Barely took any time at all. Next, what we're going to do is we want to add the number pad where users would type the amount they either request or pay someone. So we'll press T again, and we'll click anywhere on the screen. And this time I'll just type 1. And of course, this 1 is a little bit too big for our number pad. So we'll just style it down a bit. Again, we're going to use the same Nunito font. And instead of bold, let's select semi-bold, and we'll select 24 as our font size. So we can see it drastically shrink. And I'm going to zoom in here so you guys can see a bit clearer. Now that we have that, what we want to do is, if you notice the screenshot over here, is that we have almost we have a 3x4 kind of grid of the same UI components. And rather than copy and paste every one of these and manually arrange them, we can actually use stacks to arrange them properly. So to insert this one into a stack, what you want to type on your keyboard, sorry, I have the thing right over here, is you want to press the Option, Command, and Return key, and that inserts it into a stack. I think it's Control if you're a Windows user, or you could just simply right-click it and click Add Stack over here. That's just as effective. And so you can see in my view hierarchy to the left over here that our text widget is inside of a stack right now. Now I'm going to make sure that this 1 is still selected, and I'm going to press Command D or Control D to duplicate the object again. So now I'm just going to rename these to 2 and then 3. And also these numbers are a bit close for our number pad, so we probably want to spread them out. So I'm going to select this stack, so make sure the upper stack is selected. And right over here, we're going to customize the properties. First, we're going to make sure that our direction is horizontal. Framer should have done this for you automatically, but just make sure that it's set to horizontal. Next, we want to distribute it not in the center, but space around. That way, all the spacing between all the text widgets are spaced evenly. And in the layout menu, which is right over here, we're going to set the width to 390. Yeah, and I set it to 390 because that's the width of our iPhone 12 screen. But obviously, if you are using a different phone, you just kind of stretch it out so it matches perfectly. And yeah, so now that I have the horizontal stack selected, we want to add 3 more rows for our number pads. So rather than duplicate it again, I'm going to insert this into another stack. So I'm just going to right click now. I'll right click on that stack and I'll click Add Stack. And now we can see in our view hierarchy that we have I'm going to like name this horizontal stack so you guys don't get confused. Horizontal stack, and then I'm going to rename this to vertical stack. That's probably a good design principle just to like to name your components so you don't get confused easily. So with the vertical stack selected, we obviously want to change the direction to vertical now. And let's see. Yeah, we want to now duplicate this horizontal stack. So I'll select the horizontal stack and I'll press Command D 3 more times. And now we have the stack kind of, we have our number pad. Of course, you can see that the vertical stack, the margins are all off and the width is kind of messed up, but we can just change it really quick. What we're going to do first is we're going to set the top position to 332, which is a bit big. Next, we're going to, yeah, we're going to set the height to 294. So that brings our number pad a bit down. But of course, these horizontal stacks are still kind of squished together. So with the vertical stack selected, rather than distribute center, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set them to space between, which spaces them pretty good. And now all I really want to do is just rename each of these text widgets. So obviously this would be 4, 5, and 6. This is going to be 7, 8, 9, 8, 9. And this one's going to be 0. This is going to be the period symbol because in case you're using cents. And technically, if you've used the Cash App before, right over here is normally like a backspace or a delete icon. But since we don't have access to the exact icons that Cash App uses, I'm just going to put a less than sign. Yeah, and that's pretty much our number pad. Is everyone good so far? I think the directions I have were a little different than what I did. So I improvised a little bit over here, but if you follow the instructions in the Google Doc I gave you, you should get almost the same results. Um, is stacking the same as grouping in Figma? Yeah, actually, yeah, I would say it's kind of similar. I think Figma also has you do some auto layout stuff to make sure that everything's arranged evenly. Or I think Figma does have frames too, but yeah, stacks in Framer are kind of like the groups in Figma. So that's a good question, Kelly. Right. So is everyone at this point so far? Just want to make sure. Uh, Thumbs up, or are you guys in the chat? All right. I think everyone's on the same page so far. If you're not, just like raise your hand or say something in the chat so I can kind of slow down a bit. All right, so now that we have our number pad and we have the text widget set, what we want to do is create, oh yeah, Brian said, I noticed the 0 isn't perfectly aligned. Yeah, so that's kind of just one of the things that just because of the way Framer is doing it and the way the text width was automatically set, if you really wanted to, you could change the width of each of these to be exactly the same. But if you kind of like zoom out and since this is a design mockup, it doesn't matter a whole lot. But yeah, I couldn't find a way to center it completely along the way. I think that's just one of the stuff that comes along with stacks, but I wouldn't worry too much about it. Yeah, next we're going to add the buttons that we have. So we're going to add the request and the pay buttons over here. And doing this is kind of similar to how we created our number pads. So first I'm going to add a new frame over here. We're going to shape it like a button and we're going to style it up a bit. So yeah, so first we're going to set the fill of this button and it's going to be 08C95C. And it gets that lighter green color. And we're going to set the radius to 50. So that gives it that rounded button look. And then we're going to add a text widget inside of it. So I'll press, okay, so that's what's over there. Yeah, so I'm just going to select our button and then I'm going to select the text widget and kind of draw it right over here. And I'm just going to type request. Um, let's change and right over here, you can see that, right, we can control the width of our text widget, but I'm just going to set it to auto for now. So it automatically increases and decreases with our font size, which is going to be really useful because right now we're going to reformat the text. So we have it to Nunito semi-bold, which is pretty good, but we want to reduce the size of it to a font size of 20. And let's make sure that's in the middle of this button. And it can get pretty confusing because we have our stack above. So I'm just going to select this text again and make sure it's in the middle. There we go. That's good. All right. And then we're going to so I know the width of this button is a bit off, but I wouldn't worry a whole lot because stacks are going to fix that automatically. So I'm going to insert this button into a stack again. So I'll select the button and I'll click add stack. And then with the parent stack selected, I'm going to change the height to 50. And I'm going to set, then I'm going to make the width, yeah, I was going to spread it all the way to the edges over here. And now I'm going to go into the stack and select the button that we have. And right over here, instead of height at 70, I'm going to say height is 50. Oops, 50. And I'm going to set the width to a fraction of, oh wait, no, sorry. I'm going to set the height to a fraction. And then I'm going to set the width to 48%. Yeah, 48%, right over here. And with the button selected, I'm just going to press Command D again or Control D, and I'm going to duplicate the button. So instead of request, I'll name the second button pay. And let's actually not spread it out all the way. Let's, oh yeah, we're going to make this with 358 of the parent stack, and let's just center it along the middle of the screen. Yeah. Is that centered? No. Right there, that's better. And let's see. I'm losing track over here. Yeah, so, and the top of it is going to be 670. Obviously we want to move our number pad up a bit. So a lot of this is just because I'm not using auto layout and I'm really designing only for one screen, feel free to like move around the numbers or any of the components to make it look however you feel looks good. Yeah, so I'm going to move that up a bit. And yeah, that's the best part about design. It's that while there are certain rules that you have to follow, it doesn't need to be exactly same to the pixel. It's totally up to your choice if you want to move it a couple pixels here or there. Okay, anyway, now that we have our buttons and we have our number pad, if we take a look, it looks pretty similar to the screen they have over there. So I think that's like really cool about Framer, which is that even though we didn't have any or any prototyping tool really, is that even though we didn't have the exact fonts, the exact colors, or the exact icons of whatever the designers used, we were able to recreate a pretty impressive screen. And I haven't even introduced you guys to the components library yet, which is a lot like plugins for Figma. But I think that the components for Framer are a lot more powerful because there's they kind of market themselves to a very niche community. So that's why their plugins I feel like are a lot better. So I clicked on the insert menu over here, and right over here we can find packages and components that we would like to use. So I'm going to search for the iPhone X kit, and we're going to have the iPhone 10 kit. It's going to look like this, and I'm going to simply click on install. I'm also going to install another package called iOS tab bar, and that's going to be the tab bar we are going to insert over here. And it's going to be the second one by Rocco Marina Chio, I think. And then I will install that as well. So we'll wait for these to install. While those are installing, just like leave a reaction if you guys are caught up so far. If you guys have If you're good so far, just like, say something in the chat. Any thumbs up? All right, cool. Yeah. Okay, that's weird. They don't go all the way to the top of the screen. Yeah. Okay, cool. So with that said, let's scroll all the way to the bottom and you'll see that we have our installed packages over here. So I'm going to select iPhone 10 kit, and then I'm going to select the status bar. And I'm just going to click on the status bar over here and select insert. And it's going to insert the status bar into our screen. So let's drag this all the way to the top. And you can see how we're quickly going to make the screen look more like a real screen, as if it was a screenshot from an iPhone. Also, the really cool thing with the packages and components is that they're very customizable. You can see over here that I can customize the entire status bar. I can, you know, control the signal and the Wi-Fi. You can see the icons changing. I can even control the battery, and you can see how the colors are changing as I increase or decrease the battery level, which I think is really cool. I'm just going to set it to 12 hours for now, and I'm just going to set the task to none. And I'm going to leave the appearance as light, as is. Next, let's add our tab bar. So let's go back and let's go all the way to our installed packages. Let's select iOS tab bar, and we'll select the tab bar component. I'll select insert, and let's drag it all the way to the bottom over here. And of course, when this was designed, this was probably designed for the iPhone 10. That's why the width is a little bit smaller, but we can spread it out so it takes up the whole page. And now we can start customizing our tab bar. So we're using an icon set called Feather, and Feather is actually a really cool open source icon package. You can search all of their 286 icons for anyone you want. And so like if I searched up home, I would get this icon, and that's the one that's showing up over here. So we customize our tab bar, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna make sure we have our icon set to Feather. We're going to hide our labels. We have 5 tabs, which is good. And we're going to set the active tab to the third tab for now, because that's just the one how Cash App defaults to. For active color, we're going to set the active color to white. So you can either drag it all the way to the top left corner, or if you're really pro mode, you can just type the hex code, which is FFF. You could also do, next we're going to set the inactive color, which is going to be hashtag 84D B93. And that turns into these light green, it turns into this light green color that doesn't look very good against the white, but against the green background of our screen, it's going to look a lot better. So again, I'm going to set the background. That's going to be 00B34D. Oh. There we go. Okay. Yeah, and you can see that the inactive color of a tab bar looks very, it kind of matches the whole design system of the app. Next, we're going to set the icons of our tab bar. So we have the home icon, which is we can leave as is. Next, we're going to use the credit card icon, credit card. This is going to be $ icon 3. Our icon 4 name is going to be bar chart 2. Bar chart 2. And then the last one is going to be clock. And you can see that these aren't the exact same icons that they have over here, but that's, as I said, we don't have access to the exact icons. But yet with Feather icons, it becomes really easy to prototype an app. So you can probably imagine that when they were working on, oh, there's chats, I didn't see that. When they were, yeah, Kelly, that's a really good point. The plugins do have a really, really good interface. And that's why I prefer, especially if you're using like a lot of plugins in Figma, you might as well just use Framer, because I feel like the plugins are way better. No offense to people who use Figma, but that's just where I stand right now. But yeah, as I was saying, you can probably imagine that when they were prototyping the Cash App, it probably looked a lot like this with open source icons. Everything didn't have to be pixel perfect because we're just prototyping. And yeah, so you can see that this is the screen we made. It looks pretty good. I just have to fix a couple of these. just based on how I like them to look. Of course, you can customize them however you feel like customizing it. And lastly, we are missing a home indicator for our screen. So with the iOS tab bar still selected, I'm going to select home indicator and I'm going to insert it into the bottom of our screen. So it's going to align right over there. Yeah. Oh, wait, no, we want to make it centered. There. Perfect, I think. There. Personally, I would make the tint light because the white goes really well against the green. But it's pretty funny because when I was looking at the Cash App on my phone, for some reason the home indicator was dark. So if you want to leave it dark, you can leave it dark. I'm going to leave it light just because it looks better. And the last thing that we have on our screen is going to be a profile button where when you click on it, it takes you to the profile screen. Now in Framer, they use the term avatar a lot to represent a profile. And there's actually a lot of plugins you can use. You have all these amazing, simple avatars that this is also a really popular plugin for creating avatars and profiles. Tiny Faces is also one that's really good. But yeah, so feel free to use any avatar package you want. You can customize them all in this menu over here. I'm just going to stick to the default component. So I'm going to select insert and it's going to insert a random, it's going to insert a randomly generated profile picture right over here. So we're going to set the top position of our profile picture to 55, and we're going to set the right position to 32 in the layout menu over here. Yeah, and right over here, you can see that we can either have it generated randomly or we can click on the custom button and you can customize literally everything about this. You can customize the backgrounds, the font they use. If I type in my name, it's going to automatically put my initials over there. You can also select an image. And what's really cool is that they have a plugin or they're using the Unsplash API. So if you search for like person, you can use any person from this, from whatever Unsplash provides. So I'm just going to select this person over here. We'll let that load. All right, cool. Yeah. So that's our profile picture. And that's pretty much it for the first screen of our Cash app. If you want, you can select this whole iPhone 12 screen and you can click on the play button in this upper right corner. And you're going to see that it takes you to this mock-up looking screen where you see a real device. Awesome, cool. And also what I really like about their prototype or their like mock-up simulator, I guess, is that you can really customize it. So we can change the theme to dark. We can add a hand if we want, so we can see how it would look if someone was holding it, Model 1 or Model 2. We can even add a touch cursor so you guys can actually see where my mouse is moving. And yeah, you can basically customize a lot of it. You can even add a background, see how it would look against different backgrounds if you were developing for, if you were generating mockups just to present to people. And so I'm gonna not select it. You can also select an image too, which is kind of crazy. So let's just keep it to a black background, or that's at least what I'm choosing to do. I'm also gonna switch back to the, yeah, I'll keep it in the dark theme. Yeah, and so what we wanna do next is, this is kind of the halfway point of the workshop. And what we wanna do next is kind of navigate over to a new screen we're gonna create, which is the profile screen. And that's going to happen when we click on this profile button. So yeah, the hand, Noor, it's pretty cool. Yeah, so I feel like Framer has these like really cool features that for some reason other design tools haven't adopted, but it makes prototyping that much more fun. So yeah, we're gonna get started with creating a profile screen. I'm just gonna rename the screen to home screen because, like I said, it's good practice to name all your components. Next, I'm gonna press S, which is a shortcut for screen, and you can automatically see that we have these templates generated for us or these placeholders. So if you click on one over here, it's automatically going to generate another screen for you. That's just a shortcut I wanted to show you guys. What I want to do actually is instead select the home screen and we're going to press Command D to duplicate it. And we are going to basically delete everything on the screen except for the status bar, the profile picture, and the home indicator. So I'm just going to do that real quick. So we can say goodbye to the stacks, goodbye to the number pad, goodbye to this text widget. And yeah, so you should just have your status bar, your profile, and your home indicator. I'm going to change the home indicator to dark and the status bar to dark as well. And that's because I'm going to change the background to a solid white color. So we have the white color here. And next we're going to modify this profile picture. So I'm going to drag it so it's horizontally centered. Um, Next, I'm going to change the width and the height of this profile picture. So I'm going to press the lock button over here. So the size is locked in. So if I increase it to the width of 75, so is the height. So that aspect ratio is locked on, a 1:1 aspect ratio. I'm going to set the top and the right values of this profile picture. So that's going to be 55. And the right hand is going to be, oh wait, that's, yeah, sorry, it's going to be 100. Yeah, the top position is going to be 100. So that's our profile picture. And we're also going to go to the insert button and let's go to iOS tab bar. Let's select icon and we'll insert an icon. Now, when we present our profile screen, we obviously want to have a close button so we can go back to the home screen. Let me rename this to profile screen actually, so we're not getting confused. All right.
Wait, how did you know to make the top position 100?
Oh, that was just something I chose to do. Obviously, you can make it, or if you looked, actually, it's not in the App Store screenshots, but in the actual app, the profile screen is actually around at this height. And I chose 100 because that was probably my approximation. Obviously, you can choose it to be a bit lower if you want to match the $0. It's totally up to you.
Okay.
Um, yeah, so with the new icon selected, we're going to rename the icon to X. So Feather provides us with the close icon symbol, and we're also going to change the color to 383838, which is kind of a off black sort of color. Um, and then we're going to customize the position and by setting the top and right values, and we're going to want it to match the same top and right values as the profile button from our home screen. So we have it set to 55 and 32. So that's exactly what I'm going to do over here, 55 and 32. Now next comes the interaction part, which is going to be pretty cool. So I'm going to the profile image over here, and I'm going to click on this plus button for interaction. And I'm going to click add transition. And for the target, I'm going to select profile screen. So it's going to say on click, target profile screen and animated. I'm going to select the magic animation. Actually, if we were really following what the Cash App does, it would be a push animation that kind of slides up from the top. But I want to show you guys Magic Move, which I think is a really cool feature of Framer. It's similar to Smart Animate on Figma. You can also customize the animation duration. A lot of people tend to use ease in and out. I'm just gonna leave it to spring because I really like a nice bounce animation. Um, and we're also gonna select the X button over here to add a interaction for it to move back. But you'll notice actually is that we don't have an interaction menu over here for our close button. And that's because when the developers were, if you remember, we took this close button from our iOS tab bar package. And when the developers were creating it, they chose to disable the interaction package for some reason. Sorry, the interaction menu for some reason, but we can easily fix that by right-clicking on the close button and selecting add frame. So that puts the icon into a frame, and then we can add an interaction to the frame. So we're gonna click on the plus button in the new interactions menu that showed up. We're gonna select transition back, and we're just gonna leave it as is. It's just gonna say on tap, target back to previous. So now I'm going to select home screen and I'm going to press the play button that also shows up over here. And if you click on the profile screen, and then if you close it, you can see how the profile screens or the avatar smoothly transitions into the next screen. And I think that's like really cool. It also works really, really smooth. Um, yeah, so that's just magic move, and that's how to do transitions and also like really short, fun animations in Framer. Now let's see what else I have planned. Yeah, so if you actually go to the document I showed you, I have a screenshot of what the profile page is actually looks like. And you can create the profile. I feel like you guys are well equipped to create your own profile screen now. You can look at the screenshot and try to design it yourself. So it's 6:40. I'll give you guys like till 6:45, I want to say, to kind of try it out. And obviously, I'll share this file with you guys afterwards so you can see how I did it. Or I'll share the test file so you can see how I did it. And like I said earlier, there's no like right way to do the design. You can use frames or groups. You can align it however you want. Of course, I'm using the iPhone 12 width and height. If you're using something else, then of course your margins are going to be completely different, and that's totally fine. So yeah, I'm just going to stop sharing for a second, and you guys can go ahead and start designing it yourself. So you guys have like about like 4 minutes. So yeah, just if you in case if you joined a bit late, let me put the link again here. So if you click on that link, you'll see if you scroll on down, you'll see a screenshot of the profile screen. So I'll see you guys all in like 4 minutes. All right, so I hope you guys were able to get a good start on that. I can show you what I was able to add like two text widgets and a really simple round button over here that with the text widget inside, I created it much like how we created this one. Um, I also have these five buttons, and instead of using the tab bar icon, I actually went in to the plugins package and I downloaded the feather icons package. So I like highly encourage you guys to really, if you go to packages and you select community, they have all of these really amazing packages you can use. They have a camera package that you can use if you're creating a camera or if you're designing a camera application, you can kind of test it out. You also have a map box. If you're familiar with that, it's kind of like a map toolkit. And there's just so many packages over here, I think, that are easily discoverable too. And I feel like that's the selling point of Framer. What makes it so compelling is that the packages and the selection they have is really, really good. Um, so speaking of that, just to show how good the packages are, the last thing I want to show you is if you were to share this design with someone, you probably wouldn't want to send them just the bare screenshots because I mean, Loki, that's like kind of doing the bare minimum. You'd obviously want it to be in a device that looks good. One thing you could do is if you click play, you could obviously take a screenshot of this, which is pretty good, but there's a really cool package. So I'm going to click insert and then I'm going to search for Mockmatic. And this is going to take a while to install. And this really cool package takes the screen you've designed and it puts it into a device that you can then customize the angles for. They've got the description over here. You can put it in these render devices that are customizable. You can rotate them. You can customize the device color. So we're going to take a look at how to do that right now. So if I go back to the insert menu, I'm going to select Mockmatic and we're going to select the first one that says Mockmatic and I'm just going to insert it into the canvas over here. And let's just increase the size a bit so we can all take a better look at it. And so we already have a device over here that all we really need to do is connect to one of our screens. So if you take a look at this purple circle over here, I'm just going to connect it to the home page and boom, there it is. It's all rendered into a device that looks pretty good. And best of all, we can customize the device. So right now, its position is set to front, but we can set it to angle 1. We can set it to angle 2. Um, you could do close top, which you see in a lot of app screenshots, for example. Um, the flat one is also a really good choice. Or if you select custom, what you can do is you can completely scale it. You can rotate it so it looks different. And you even get that nice glare if you guys are able to see. I don't know if Zoom's like showing it to you guys, but you get like a nice glare that you can either choose to show or hide. Um, I'm obviously in the light mode right now, and let me change that to the light. I'm in the dark mode. Let me change it to the light mode. And if you notice that I actually have a shadow too. So if I did angle 1, you can kind of see a shadow over there that wasn't really visible. And that also offers a really unique touch to your mockups. So can you export your Figma stuff to Framer to use Mockmatic? Yeah, you can. You can definitely like copy the image over and put it into Framer, and you can definitely connect the Mockmatic thing to or the Mockmatic package to your profile screen. And I feel like this is so. I'm going to duplicate the Mockmatic screen again because I want to show the profile screen now. So I have it set to, so I have two Mockmatic frames over here, and I'm going to change the angle to like angle 2. Um, and so I really wanted to show, and this was working up until like a few days ago, but if I click on insert and we have the Mockmatic animator, and it's even better than the normal Mockmatic kind of screen. So if you connect it to two different Mockmatic packages, right now I feel like the developer kind of messed up. He needs to update it. But what it used to do was it would read one Mockmatic frame and another one. And this frame, this animator frame, would kind of animate the differences between those two devices. So it would show the device turning from like this angle all the way to this angle with the screen changing. And it used to look really cool. of course, I don't think the developer has knows about this. So hopefully updates it soon. And it's really cool when it happens. And I think that's like just a really cool thing about Framer, which is that you're literally dragging and dropping and you're creating the most professional looking mockups for this app, which is, you know, a well-known app. So that's pretty much all I had planned for you guys today. Do you guys have any questions or anything you want to ask?
Wait, besides plugins, can you like talk about when someone should use Framer versus Figma? I basically never heard of Framer before today, so I don't know
Yeah,
too much about it.
no, no worries. Yeah. Framer, again, like I said earlier, it's really, it had a lot of I don't know, it had a lot of indecisiveness with what to be. It was like sometimes it was like Sketch, sometimes it was like Figma. So that really was the reason a lot of people don't know about it. But I don't think there's any good answer to Figma or Framer or Sketch or Adobe, any of the Adobe, you know, I think XD is the UI mocking tool. I think it really comes down to personal preference. If you use Framer, if you use Figma, and if you want to judge between which two work better for you or for your design workflow, then it's a completely individualistic choice, I'd say. Um, that being said, if you're working with teams and everyone, a lot of people have more experience with Figma. But if you're just on your own and you want to kind of like do something really crazy where plugins can help you and where you want to kind of show off the mockups and everything, I think obviously Framer would be really cool because I mean, especially with Mockmatic, and there's obviously many more mockup packages that work really well. So yeah, that's a really tricky question. It's a good question, but it's mostly personal preference. That would be the answer. Any other questions? If not, then
Wait, I have one more question. Is it
yeah, for sure.
possible for you to make the prototype where when you click on the number pad, the number also updates? Or does
Yeah,
it already
so
do that? I don't know. I came
It
late.
doesn't do that right now, but if you wanted it to do that, I think there's probably a design way to do it that I'm not 100% sure of. But one way I know that you could do it is you could go into the component and you could like literally code it out with JavaScript such that that when you click on like the number one, that this component turns into the number one. And I think that's like, and I know like as designers, we really want to avoid code and stuff. But if you're like a really pro user and if you're really into code and everything, that would be the solution for it. And yeah, so I think that's a reason. That's another reason why Framers plugins or sorry, their packages are so much better than Figma's plugins, which is that the code is really friendly and it's using the same programming language that a lot of designers or coders know. So yeah, I think it's possible to do it. I'm not sure of how to do it. I'd have to like do some research on that. But that's a good question. Yeah.
So after you design stuff, how do people turn it into apps? Again, this is from my ignorant brain because I don't know how people turn things into apps.
No, yeah, no
But what
worries.
do they do after you make all the screens?
Yeah, so once you make all the screens, usually you send it to your developers, and your developers, especially front-end developers, they are probably used to reading design files and being able to kind of code it manually into an app based on whatever app you're creating. And you know, I don't really want to get into the app development stuff because that could take a whole other hour. But a lot of creative tech design members actually, what they've done, I think last summer, if one of you guys can speak about it, I think they took the Disney Plus app, was it, and they kind of did their own. They designed their own version of it, which I thought was really cool. And this is a common design project, I want to say, where you take a common app and you completely revisualize it and redesign it into how you want it to be. And people post it on Dribble or Behance, and you know, it's yeah. I kind of like deviated there, but that's kind of how you would turn designs into apps. Yeah, but if there's no other questions, then you guys are always going to have access to this document. I'll paste it in the chat one more time. Um, and yeah, you guys, I like encourage you guys to look at Framer, and it's a really cool tool. And I certainly hope that a lot more people use it because it's really underrated, especially when it comes to mockups and prototyping. Yeah, but that's it. Thank you guys for coming over here and attending my workshop. And of course, join the CTD mailing list and all our socials if you want to be notified of any more workshops.